every company at the end of the day just kind of sucks a little bit. Some suck more than others, but like every company kind of sucks. People that have been around a long time know all those things. Like they know where the skeletons are. You get newbies in the door, they have none of that baggage. So they just come in with a fresh pair of eyes. I'm Kyle Racki, CEO of Proposify, and I've been running a business for the past 15 plus years since I was 24, and Proposify for the last 10 years. And so what I like to do is just share some of the lessons that I learned across product, marketing, sales, everything that I've learned running a business. So when you've been running a business for any length of time, you're going to have people who hopefully stay with you for a very long time. So you get these OGs on your team, right? And we see this a lot in product and engineering where, you know, the person who's been with you 5+ years, which in tech is kind of like an eternity. What you kind of find is that as that goes on, there's a lot of institutional knowledge that gets built up. You know, you want to say that you document everything and everything is all completely systematized, but the truth of the matter is, right, there's going to be things that somebody hasn't touched in years, but that person that OG knows where that thing is and they know how to do that thing. And that's always really great. So when you lose somebody who's been on your team for a long time, you lose all that institutional knowledge. And that's often seen as a bad thing, which it kind of is. But what I believe is that you really need both. Like you need newbies and OGs. I think the great thing about newbies is the fact that they have no baggage, right? No head trash. Because like, let's face it, when you've been at a company for long enough, like every company at the end of the day just kind of sucks a little bit. Some suck more than others, but like every company kind of sucks. People that have been around a long time know all those things. Like they know where the skeletons are. You get newbies in the door, they have none of that baggage. So they just come in with a fresh pair of eyes. They're just curious about everything. So they'll say like, why do we do it this way? Have we ever tried this? And what you sometimes get is like the OGs who have been around, even sometimes if it's the founder, will be like, oh, we tried that 2 years ago. That doesn't work. And it's like, okay, but have we tried it lately? Maybe things have changed. Maybe there's different conditions have changed. And so now maybe it would work. And I think when you can get that dichotomy, that healthy friction that happens, it can be a good thing, right? You don't want the OGs to be shutting down the newbies' energy. And you also do want to benefit from that experience, right? The people who have been around a long time know some things that they can share those learnings. So they can say, we experimented with that in the past and we learned X, Y, and Z, right? So you get that faster shortcut to learning. If you have a company and you've got multiple teams within the company, you want to try to get a mix of both, right? You wouldn't want one team of all noobs and one team of all OGs. You want to kind of let them intermingle because they're going to bring different things out of each other. They're going to contribute to the team in different ways. And so one of the things that I like to try to do, and I think that anybody in a leadership role, it's a really good habit to get into, is when you're brainstorming ideas or when people are talking about things and they ask like, what do you think? Or what does everybody here think? It can be really tempting for me, and I'm probably a lot of people, to just, you know, instantly say what your opinion is. But you know, as soon as you do, you're going to shut everyone else down, or you're going to sway the opinion of the group, right? They call it HIPPO, highest paid person's opinion. Everybody goes, oh, well, if the director or if the CEO, you know, thinks this way, then maybe they silence what they were going to say. Maybe they think totally opposite from you. So basically just mute yourself. When somebody says, what do you think? I try to remember to mute myself and let whoever is the newest or the most junior in the company speak first. Not always easy to do, especially when there's an uncomfortable silence because they're waiting for you to jump in first before they say something. But you really will get opinions out there, and especially of sort of your newer or your least experienced team members, that can get you to think differently and be like, oh, I didn't consider that. So, I mean, I think all this plays into culture, right? What kind of culture do you want to build in your business? In the last few years, we've adopted radical candor as an actual core value. So if you haven't heard of the book Radical Candor, it's by Kim Scott. And the whole idea is that, you know, in some companies, there's a culture of assholes, right? People who are always challenging each other, disregarding people's feelings, just steamrolling over people. And then in other companies, there's sort of a culture of what Kim Scott calls ruinous empathy, which is, you know, the person kind of sucks at their job or they suck at something, but you're not going to say it because you don't want to hurt their feelings. But really, at the end of the day, it makes that person unsuccessful in their job, and they usually end up getting fired anyway. So the idea of radical candor is that it balances challenging directly while caring personally. That's in a nutshell what radical candor is all about. And we adopted it as a core value because we definitely swayed way too much on the ruinous empathy side for a very long time. So we bake it into our culture and our values to challenge each other. And one of those things is, like, if you're a new person who's joined the company, is like, we We start with a full trust battery. That is also a core value. And we encourage people to disagree, to challenge, to, share their ideas and question assumptions. We like to say things like there's no sacred cows. Mark, our CTO, he always says status quo is not an option. He repeats that almost like on every call he's on, especially if somebody goes, hey, why are we doing it this way? So I think it's really important that if you want that kind of company culture, you have to call it out. You have to encourage it. And you have to really expect people to challenge, and you have to thank them when they do, even if they're wrong, right? Like you might end up still disagreeing with them, but you can say like, hey, I love the fact that you called that out. I love the fact that you asked, why do we do it this way? Because sometimes they are right, and they do force you to change the way you do things. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. I share advice just like this in my newsletter, Inside Proposify. You can get it by clicking the link down below.